Hey guys, welcome to module 3 of my free dropshipping course. If you haven't signed up yet, you can go to dropshiplab.com to watch the other 2 videos or watch them here on my YouTube channel. Make sure you hit subscribe. Today's video is going to be about niche selection and product selection. This is a very exciting topic. This is what everybody's interested in. So first off, let's actually explain the difference. What is the difference between a niche and a product? A lot of people don't realize this. So think of it as a niche could be home and garden furniture, right? Or just home and garden in general. And your product selection might be like gazebos or outdoor tables or outdoor chase lounges or whatever it is. One thing that you guys want to keep in mind when you're making your niche and product selection is, first off, don't get too attached to your niche. You guys have some products in mind already. You might think, Johnny, like I saw this thing on Instagram. This is what I want to sell. 100%, I'm going to sell this. The problem with that is if you already are so certain about what you want to sell, you're probably going to ignore everything else. You're going to say you're going to find reasons why that's the best product in the world. On the flip side, don't get too hung up on trying to find that perfect niche. I remember pretty much all my products that I've ever sold, I've always kind of second guessed myself, usually, the few days or the weeks after I had decided. And this is what was nice about going through a course like Anton's, where it took the emotions away from it. He was just like, hey guys, here are the criteria that I use to, research my niches. And once you find it, just stick with it. So that was a big tip that I learned from Anton that I want to pass to you guys is, as long as it fits your criteria, and by criteria I mean, is it something that people buy online or you can sell online? Is it something that you can get approved to sell? And is it something that you can actually make money from? Is there a potential profit in there, either through volume or through the margins of each individual item? And as long as you can fit these criteria, don't worry too much about if it's the perfect niche or not. I actually remember when I started my first store, it took me so long. It took me like more than 2 weeks to find my niche or my product. And even then I was like, I don't know, this doesn't seem like it's great. I don't know how many people are gonna buy this. It's not like super popular. It's not cool or trendy. And Anton's like, well, does it fit the criteria? And I was like, yeah, it does. And he's like, well, just do it. He's like, I can't promise you if it's gonna work or not. Because here's the thing, guys, there's no such thing as the perfect niche. If there was, it won't be perfect for very long because it'll just become saturated. So the perfect niche is actually the product or the category that isn't yet popular yet and is kind of underserved, but people are still buying. And I want you guys to think about this is, if you're like me and you're a solopreneur and your goal is to make a couple thousand, hopefully, up to 10 grand a month from your store, you don't need to sell 10,000 products. You don't need to be like moving millions of products. You can literally make 1 or 2 sales a day. That's 30 to 60, sales a month. And as long as your profit margins are pretty good, that's anywhere between $3,000 and $10,000 a month in profit. That's like like if you sell a product that's $300 and you sell it every single day, in a month, that's what, $10,000 worth of products. I mean, it adds up pretty fast. So don't worry too much about finding the perfect niche. So let's jump straight into actually how to select your products. Okay. All right, so very important, the 2 niche selection or product selection types that you need to avoid at all costs is, one is just seeing what is super popular right now, what everyone else is selling. The problem with that is I guarantee it's gonna be oversaturated. The ad prices are gonna be high, competition's gonna be high. The suppliers might be so tired of having so many different accounts set up and a lot of them probably aren't, selling that much product, that it's just too much time for them. So they're not going to approve new suppliers. People will go into price wars, so you're spending more on advertising and competing with each other. It's basically like saying, if there was already 5 nail salons on the same block, do you want to open a 6th nail salon? why not open a barber shop or an eyebrow studio or something, like, something that maybe is related, but is in a completely different niche that they're not serving. Your chances of success are going to be so much higher. So definitely do not just pick the hot trendy topic or the product, because your competition is going to have a huge head start on you, number one. Second, a lot of trendy things don't last. Like hoverboards was a trend for a while, and I knew people who made a lot of money on it, but if you jumped on hoverboards at the end of the trend, you were kind of stuck, and it was a lot harder. You always want to be in the beginning of the trend, or at least in the middle. And the other thing you want to avoid is don't copy other people's niches. So many people get stuck, saying like, Johnny, what is your niche? What is your niche? And I'm like, I'm not going to tell you this, because first, I don't want to create competition. I don't want people to copy my niche. And second, it doesn't help you. Like if I said to you, like, I only sell this specific thing, you're like, man, that's such a good niche, Johnny. Like I never would have thought of that. And then all of a sudden, instead of you being able to think completely outside of the box of infinite possibility, you start thinking, well, if I don't pick something exactly the same as this, I'm going to fail. And this is a big reason why dropshippers and teachers don't like to share their niches, because the best dropshippers, the best students I've ever met that have done the best, when I saw their stores, because they had me go in to optimize it or help, kind of help on the back end, they signed up for a coaching call or something, I looked at them like, oh my God, I never would have thought of selling this. So, and I've been in this for 7 years now, and every single time I see someone's store that's doing well, it blows my mind. I'm like, man, I can't believe I didn't think of that. I can't believe out of all my research, out of all my brainstorming for 7 years, I never thought of that. And I was like, I can see why this is a good niche. So that's what I want you to do, is I want you to find your own niche that's wide open, that very few or no one else is competing in. On the flip side, everyone that I've seen that has like failed or just couldn't get started and is complaining, saying, oh yeah, I tried this, but it didn't work. I look at their stores and I swear to God, it's the same like 3 niches that they copied from as examples from like Anton's, free webinar, or from, just like the most basic stuff. Like, oh yeah, I also tried to sell furniture and it didn't work. I'm like, well, did you have any upper hand? And they're like, well, I figured everyone else is doing this, so I'm gonna do it too. And that's just not the way it works. So how do you find that niche that is kind of untapped? So I'm gonna give you guys a couple ideas, all right? A popular way is to just browse through websites, whether it's Hayneedle or AliExpress or any of these websites that sell things online. The problem with that is, unless you kind of have an idea of what you're looking for, or at least a price point or something, you're gonna spend so much time just scrolling through and just be like, is this something I wanna sell? Can I sell this? Is there a market for this? Do I know anything about this product? And most people just end up looking at like the most popular products, and that's when you get a lot of competition. One thing that Anton suggests in his course that I really like is to go through everything you've ever bought online for the last 7 years. And right away, a lot of people are like, well, I don't buy that much stuff online, or I just buy clothes, or just buy stuff on Amazon, or whatever. But what you want to look for are the things that you had to buy, that you didn't shop around too much for. It wasn't like a passion thing, It's just something that you needed to buy, and it was just convenient to buy online, whether it was for your work, school, or personal use. And I guarantee, if you just take the time, go through all your old credit card statements, there's something in there they're like, oh yeah, I did buy that. And yeah, you're right, I didn't do too much research. I just kind of looked online for a somewhat fair price, and I was like, yeah, I need this, so let me just buy it. Those are things that end up doing the best, because those are kind of impulse need purchases. So think about that for a second. Please switch to my computer so I can show you another way I like to look for niches and products. So I like to go to Google Shopping. And here you can see all the categories. So this is actually good examples. This is the niche, and this is the product. So it could be, your niche could be electronics, or I guess audio could be a niche, but really when you kind of go in deeper and deeper, then that's your specific products. So your product could be, car audio, right, or GPS or something like that. Home and garden. Your niche could be lawn and garden. But when you kind of go in a little bit deeper, you can look for your specific products. And this is kind of a good idea to get a broad overview of what you can possibly sell and browse. I would suggest only selling things that you have either some inside knowledge about, that you've personally used, or that you've bought yourself. So for example, this thing right here for $325, I don't know what this is. I'm assuming this is a pool pump, but I have no experience with pool pumps at all. So I would not be able to make a site selling this stuff. But for someone who does know about pool pumps, maybe you've used one or you bought one yourself, and this is actually a good example of something that's kind of like a purchase that people might buy because they need it, but they don't really think about. They're just like, oh yeah, I did buy that. I forgot. I ordered one online because I needed a new pool pump. Mine broke. If somebody asked me, Johnny, do I need a 100 GPH pump or a 2400? I'll be like, I have no idea. And that's why I wouldn't sell this product. And I don't recommend you guys sell something that you don't know anything about either. But if you're like, oh yeah, I actually, I've bought this before, I've used this before, yeah, go for it. The second thing you want to look at is prices, right? This is actually going to really determine what niche and what products you go to, is how you plan on advertising this, how you plan on getting traffic. If you're planning on getting traffic through like an Instagram influencer, for example, you're probably not going to sell pool pumps. You're probably going to have to sell something that's a little bit more, like trendy, a lower cost purchase that, people would kind of just pick up and buy, right? It could be like these inflatable pool floats, right? Or it can be something that is kind of more of a fun buy. But if you're going to be selling using, your advertising method is Google Ads, yeah, then you're like, okay, well, maybe I will sell pool pump, or maybe I'll sell this gazebo, or maybe I'll sell, these wicker, basket things. So we'll be going over this in a future module. So if you're really stuck and you're like, Johnny, I'm not, I'm a complete beginner, I'm not really sure, feel free just to start making a list of possible niches and wait until the traffic section of the course. If you haven't signed up yet, it's at dropshiplab.com. That way you can get emailed each new module every day as it comes out, as I record this, instead of having to wait, twice a week for me to upload them to YouTube, or make them public on YouTube. So go ahead and just start making a list, make a master list, use a spreadsheet, use Google Sheets, whatever you want, and just start writing things down and say, like, Johnny, like, I'm going to write down these 50 things and I'm going to kind of go through this after I have all the knowledge of how am I going to promote it? How am I going to find the suppliers for it? Because that's actually a big part of it as well, right? Is I would love to sell Facebook portals or HP Chromebooks or a MacBook Air, but I also know there is a zero chance I'm going to get approved by Apple to sell their products. I have a very small chance of getting approved by Facebook to sell their Pixel camera things, because they probably either sell it through big retailers like Target, Best Buy, or they sell it direct on their site and they won't dropship it for you, because they don't need to. They have distribution already. While this company, Intex, maybe they would. I mean, I don't know anything about pool pumps, but maybe they would happily let me become an authorized dealer for them and let me drop ship their products, because these guys are so busy making sand filter pumps that they are happy to bring a dropshipper on board or a dealer on board to sell the products, to do the customer service, maybe even arrange with a local installer. Maybe they're just super used to having these things drop shipped. So that's another thing that you're going to want to think about. And that's actually going to be tomorrow's video, is how to get approved by suppliers, how to find and get approved by suppliers. And that's going to be very vital to what you're going to actually sell. So remember a couple things. The first thing you want to remember is don't try to steal other people's niches, and also don't go into categories that are so competitive already that you have no chance of competing. Second is only sell things that you actually have some kind of inside knowledge on, things that you've personally bought yourself or used yourself, or you have, or at least you're willing to learn. If you're not willing to buy it yourself and use it and be able to answer these questions, you're not going to be able to add much value to your customers, and they're not going to want to buy from someone who has no idea what they're talking about. The third thing is you want to start thinking before you choose your niche how you're going to advertise the product, because if your source is going to be high volume, low costs, then you want to sell something that is trendy, that's cool. So if you're going to run Facebook ads, if you're going to do Instagram influencers, then you want something that's lower priced but kind of cool and trendy. If you're planning on using high cost Google ads, whether it's shopping or text ads, you're probably not going to be able to sell a bunch of cheaper items because the costs per conversion are going to be so high. The average cost for a Google ad to convert is anywhere between $10 and $30. So if your product is a cheap product with no margins, or if your product is just a $30 product, even if it has great margins, a 50 to 50% margin, you're not going to be able to afford to advertise that $20, $30 pool float. But if you're selling inflatable pools for $300 or $3,000, then you can very easily use a paid ad, even if it costs you $30 per conversion, even if it costs you $1 every time someone clicks it. When you're selling a product that is selling for $300 to $3,000 plus dollars, then it's very, very easy to get into that niche. So go ahead and take your time, write down all your possible niches as on a spreadsheet, but don't get too attached to it yet. One thing I really liked about Anton's course is he shows you his method of how to find niches that you have a pretty good chance that you're going to be able to find a supplier for. That's something I'll talk a little bit about tomorrow, and tomorrow's video is how to find suppliers, so you can kind of backward analyze that and say, okay, well, if I'm going to find suppliers this way, then I have a pretty good chance of getting approved in this niche. So stay tuned for tomorrow's video. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the email list at dropshiplab.com. That'll give you an invite to the private Facebook group where you can ask each other questions, you can help each other out. I'll jump in once in a while to help. But remember, again, this isn't a hand-holding course. I don't have the time to be able to do that. I don't have a huge team like Anton does. If you want someone to hold your hand through the whole process, I do recommend Anton's course. You can use my link, it's antonmethod.com. He goes really deep into niche and product selection. He actually gives you a master list of pre-approved niches that you can already get into. He also has packages where you can talk to one of his coaches who are experienced and have ran stores themselves, so that they can tell you, is this a good niche or not? And it really is an easier kind of shortcut. But as promised, I am going to give you all the tools that you need through this free course for you to go through the entire process of building a successful dropshipping store. So stay tuned until tomorrow's video. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.